But I'm here today to talk about my friend Hillary Clinton. And she is my friend. I just want you to understand how significant this race is, and then I want to tell you some reason why I'm so passionate about this woman. And I'm going to take you back a ways to 1998. Some of you remember this, but I absolutely remember it because I lived through it. When I ran for governor and got the nomination, I was 23 points behind. I was 23 points behind in the summer of 1998, and our campaign was literally out of money. You know, when Herman calls today as a state senator for campaign contributions, he probably has his phone calls returned. When you're 23 points behind, nobody talks to you, not even your best friends. It was hard. And I remember Christy saying to me, well, you know, we don't want to have to shut the doors of our campaign down. She said, well, I'll call Hillary. I said, Hillary who? She said, Hillary Clinton. I said, you mean the First Lady of the United States? She goes, yeah. You're going to call her to do what? Well, she'll do a fundraiser for us. Honey, are you kidding me? Hillary Clinton's not going to do a fundraiser for a guy who's 23 points behind in a state that hasn't elected a Democrat in 30 years. What are you talking about? Oh, no, she'll do it. What do I know? I don't think she talked to Hillary, but she talked to somebody who talked to Hillary. The next thing I know, we're going to have a fundraiser in Washington, D.C. Now, if Hillary were here, she would say that this fundraiser started out in a building about the size of a room about the size of this beautiful barn here. And then they had to kind of divide it in half, because then they had to divide it again in half, and then again in half. There were about as many people at that fundraiser as there are on these first two tables right here. But we had enough money to keep the doors open, because nobody's going to give to a guy who's 23 points behind. October, fast forward to right about now. John Cacciatore was my campaign manager. He walks in and he says, I got 3 weeks to go in this campaign. Senator, he said, we don't have any money for any TV in Davenport and the Quad Cities or Sioux City and Council Bluffs. We can't do any radio, and we can't afford a single phone call on election day. I look up at him from my chair and I say, can we win? He lied and said, oh, wait, you know, we got a shot. We're still 23 points behind. He said, we're going to do some tracking polls, and we're going to send those out, and hopefully something happens. So they did a tracking poll, and it went from 23 to 15. Not much happened. They did another one 2 days later. It went from 15 to 8. Then all of a sudden, $500,000 from all over the country came into my campaign. He comes into me one day and he says, do you know Robert Rubin? I said, you mean the Secretary of Treasury? He goes, yeah. I go, no, I have no idea who Bob Rubin is. He goes, well, that's interesting because he just sent you a check for $17,000. I said, man, cash it. We need the dough. I mean, all of a sudden this money came in from everywhere. By election weekend, the weekend before the election, we went from 8 down to even. We one last big star to come rally the troops. Some of you may have been at that Des Moines rally. Hillary came the weekend before, got everybody wound up, and as you know, we ended up winning. Now here's why I tell you that story. You would have to ask yourself, why would Hillary Clinton have done 3 things? Done the fundraiser in July, ensured that those tracking polls got to the right people in Washington, D.C., so resources came into this campaign, and why would she spend an opportunity on the weekend before the election when there were 34 governor's races, 33 Senate races, and 435 House races? She could have been anywhere in the country. Here's why. Because in 1974, Hillary Clinton was a young lawyer. She was working with John Doerr, who was in charge of the investigation of President Nixon for the House and Senate. And John Doerr hired a series of young lawyers to aid in that investigation, and Hillary was sharing an office with a guy by the name of Tom Bell, who was Christy Bell Vilsack's brother. 1974, a friendship was developed. In 1996, Tom tragically died, the day before my son graduated from, actually hours before my son just graduated from high school. He came down for the graduation ceremony and had a heart situation, and he died. 24 years after they first met, 2 years, he died in 96, 2 years after he died, Hillary Clinton remembered Tom Bell. Out of friendship and loyalty to Tom Bell, she helped Christy Bell Vilsack. She helped Tom Vilsack. Now, why is that important to all of you? It's about loyalty. It's about who this person genuinely is, not the stuff that you read about, and not what the opposition says about her, and not what has been developed as a narrative in this race. This is the Hillary Clinton I know. Someone who's incredibly loyal to the people she cares about. And guess what? She cares about us. She cares about all those working families, all those middle-class families, because that's where she came from. She knows how difficult it is to get a good job. She knows how hard it is to make ends meet. She knows that we are proud of our country and we want our country to play a role in the world as a global leader. She understands that. And when she promises you that she's going to raise the minimum wage, she's going to make investments in infrastructure, she's going to do all the things that she's talked about in this campaign, she will die trying. She will work harder than any president has ever worked to make it happen, because she's loyal to you and she's loyal to this country. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. In every swing state today, in every swing state, in New Hampshire, and in Virginia, and Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, and Florida, and Ohio, and Colorado, and Nevada, in every one of those swing states, and Wisconsin, Hillary Clinton is ahead. There's only one state where she's behind or even. Our state. Now, what is it? What is it, Iowa Democrats? That the folks in Ohio now know, the folks in Pennsylvania know, the folks in Virginia know, the folks in New Hampshire know, the folks in North Carolina and Florida know, the folks in Colorado and Nevada know. What is it that we don't know? We have a responsibility here to make sure that our friends and neighbors understand what's at stake here. We need to get even more engaged than we've already been. We've got to spend the last weeks of this campaign talking passionately to our friends and neighbors about what's at stake. They need to hear from us, not the 30-second commercials, not the talking heads. They need to hear from us how passionate and concerned we are. Because at the end of the day, that's who they trust. It's their friends and neighbors. So if you're talking to a young family that's concerned about child care, talk to them about Hillary's plan to pay for child care. If you're in a convenience store talking to one of those clerks as you're buying whatever you're buying at the convenience store, ask them what they think about the minimum wage and make sure they understand that their minimum wage raise is at risk. Make sure they're registered. Make sure that they're voting early. I've got my absentee ballot. I want you to note that today I'm filling it out tonight. Now, I would have filled it out tonight right here at this event. That's what I was planning on doing. But, of course, Christy had a better idea. She said, you know, the story Democrats and all those folks will understand if you do your ballot in front of your grandchildren and then take a picture of it and send it to the campaign and make sure that everybody is voting for their grandkids. So tonight, 3 of my 4 grandkids will be around me. Jake, who's 7, Ella, who just turned 5 2 days ago, and Caroline, who's 2. And I'm going to mark my ballot. It's going to be relatively simple, right? There's only really one place where you have to mark on the ballot. I'm going to mark my ballot. I'm going to slip it in the envelope. I'm going to put a stamp on it, Sheriff. I'm going to put a stamp on it because you got to put a stamp on it. And then I'm going to put it in the mail. And I'm going to track it, make sure it finally gets to where it needs to go, because I want my vote for my grandkids and my kids and my country. I want it to be for the next President of the United States, Hillary Clinton, and I want you to do the same thing. Let's get to work.